Welcome to Kingdom Mothers Rise Up, where I encourage and equip you to heal your heart and renew your mind so you can live the fully abundant life Jesus promised you. Let's go. It's time to move.
The next 6 Fridays are going to be teaching on connecting with your child's emotions. This is material from a course that I have taught. And so if you're interested in going through that in a community with other moms or being able to get feedback from me for your particular situation, make sure that you are on my mailing list so that you know when I have another class coming up. Pray that this teaching will be practical and impactful for you to start building emotional connection and awareness with your own children.
Emotions are God's idea. I know for myself, growing up in the church, I did not think so. I thought emotions were a mistake. They were a big inconvenience. They caused a lot of problems, and they were just best avoided, or if they could just not exist at all, like that would have been really good. Like they were, I don't know, part of the fall, I guess. I don't know. They were just bad was the message I got from home and from church. Like there just wasn't room for emotion in church. You just had faith and did what you were supposed to do, no matter how you felt. Our emotions have information for us, but they are never to be in charge. And so I think the mindset that I grew up with was that if you felt your emotions, you were letting them be in charge. Like there wasn't a way to do both. It was that black and white either or, which is a very immature way of thinking. It's a childlike way of thinking that we need to mature out of, that either I feel my emotions and I'm controlled by them, or I ignore them altogether. Instead, it needs to be both and. I feel my emotions and I'm led by my spirit in Christ to do the right thing. So it's bringing those two things together. And so emotions being God's idea, He has emotions. He delights over us. He had compassion for Israel again and again and again. Jesus showed compassion for Mary and Martha when Lazarus died, even though he knew he was bringing him back to life again. He wept over Jerusalem. He felt like that frustration with the disciples when they were bickering or whatever. And he's like, really, guys, like you're totally missing the point, and he didn't let that impact his identity or his purpose or anything, but he still had those feelings of like, oh, you still don't get it. You still don't see. He displayed anger when he turned over the money changers tables in the temple. And so like emotions are part of who God is, and they're part of relationship. And if He created us for relationship, then we have to have emotions to enter into that relationship. He wants us to feel love, joy, peace. Like these are emotions. They're also fruits of the Spirit. So God is okay with emotions. So emotions are a sense. So just like our sense of touch, smell, hearing, whatever ones I missed, our senses give us information that we need. Something is coming at my face, I need to move. I touch something hot, I need to move my hand. That smells really good. Oh, I'm hungry. Like we have, or that smells really bad. I need to change that diaper, whatever. Like we have these senses that give us information that helps us make good decisions. And again, like emotions have got that bad rap of like, if you're making an emotional decision, that's really unwise. And if you're letting emotions be in control, that could be true. But if you're letting emotions inform your decision, then it's just like letting your other senses inform your decisions of how safe something is, or if it looks right, or, how we're using our physical senses. So seeing your emotions and your kids' emotions as another sense, it's another source of information, like to bring home the idea that what you pick up with that, the information you get from that emotion or that sense might not be completely accurate. A kind of object lesson or whatever that I liked to do with my kids was I would take and set up something where it guaranteed that they were seeing something different than I was, or that they were seeing something different than each other. So just for super simple, like if I hold up my phone and ask them to describe it to me, like it's green and there's 4 little circles, and I'd be like, no, that's not right. It's not right, because that's not what I see. I see a big black rectangle with a thin green frame. So your emotions can do that same kind of thing. And it doesn't mean that their description of the 4 little dots in this green rectangle is wrong. It just means that's the information that their emotions are giving them. My emotions could be giving different information. So we need to talk about it and figure out how can we turn this situation around so you can see what I'm seeing and I can see what you're seeing. And for siblings, like to do that for each other, of like, okay, I understand that you see this is totally unfair and he was completely out of line. Can we turn the situation around and listen to what they were seeing and what they were experiencing? So whether that's physically seeing it with our physical sense or emotionally seeing it with our emotional sense, if you want to call it that. So they're very useful when you understand how to get the information from them and understand that that information, while completely valid, the validation isn't saying you're right. As far as like you're right about the whole situation, it's you're right and accurate as far as sharing what you are sensing, what you're experiencing. Accepting emotions is not being emotional. And I think I kind of talked about that already. So just to reiterate that if I accept I'm feeling sad or I accept that I'm frustrated, that does not mean that I'm being emotional. If I'm frustrated and I stomp my feet and I pull your hair and I do all of those, yes, I'm being emotional. But just taking the time to say, hey, this is what I'm feeling is not being emotional. So again, like it's bringing the 2 ends of the spectrum together that, well, if you're feeling your emotions, you're being emotional. No, if you're being controlled by your emotions, you're being emotional. And it's not okay to be controlled by your emotions. We want to be informed by our emotions. So when little people, and, we'll get more into this in other weeks because I don't want to overwhelm you, but when little people are feeling these great big emotions, it's easy for them to be controlled by them because they haven't learned what to do with them yet. And that's where you create that space and hold that space to say, oh, I see you are really frustrated right now. I see you are really disappointed, or whatever it is that you're seeing. And that confirming that you can see what they're experiencing helps to bring them down and come them to a place where they can make a different choice instead of being controlled by their emotions. But just, again, I guess that permission to allow emotions and to actually feel the emotions without that fear that you're being emotional or that you're letting your child be emotional and manipulate you with their emotions. Because we're not saying that all behavior is okay. All emotions are okay because they're involuntary. Kind of like when something comes at your face, you blink your eyes or you jerk out of the way or whatever. It's an involuntary reaction. And most often our emotions are too. They just come up. Like we didn't think about them. We didn't choose them. We didn't decide what we wanted. It's just there. And so accepting that, and giving them space to acknowledge that versus shutting that down because you feel like it's being emotional. And then the last thing is that no one is emotional and logical at the same time. No one, especially not little people, but nobody is logical and emotional at the same time. So if the emotions are high because they're excited or because they're mad or whatever, that is not the time to reason with them and explain how you have good intentions for them and how they could respond and all of that. First, those emotions have to feel heard. They have to feel understood and validated. And once they do, then you can talk about what could have you done differently, what was happening here, what would be good choices next time, that kind of thing. And it's really helpful as a mom to remember this for yourself. If your emotions are high, step away. Like, I know I often felt that pressure of like, I have to deal with it right now. For one, because I'm going to forget if I don't deal with it right now. And for two, of like, just, I don't know, thinking it was a teachable moment or whatever. But if my emotions are running the show, so I am being emotional, I need to step away and do the responsible thing to bring myself back to a logical place, to be able to say, okay, I need to hear your perspective. I need to understand where you were coming from. I need to demonstrate to you that you are more important than how I'm feeling right now, and all of those kinds of things. And I truly believe, and I have 3 adult kids and the 6-year-old. So from my experience, I truly believe that forgetting some of those things that I feel like I need to deal with right now is far better than the damage I caused by trying to deal with it in an emotional state. When I was feeling, my big thing was feeling disrespected, like just puts me through the roof. Feeling disrespected and being accused of lying, like those 2 things just blood boiling instantly. And so learning that if I can just be like, okay, I'm way too upset to handle this situation like the mature adult, so I'm going to walk away. And then if I forget and we don't get back to it, that's better than me doing damage by saying things I don't mean, or just saying things in a spirit of, that frustration and really almost like betrayal that I would feel if I was accused or whatever. That was never helpful. So keep in mind that no one is logical and emotional at the same time. We got to get the emotions down. They need to be heard because God wants them to be heard. He gave us those emotions to give us information. And so they actually aren't going to be quiet until you listen to them. And we see that showing up. I see it showing up in so many women's lives and my own, in health issues, because the emotions couldn't get through to the thinking part of us to take care of them. So now they're attacking our body, saying, pay attention. And so all these autoimmune issues and stress disorders and all of this stuff often comes from having shut down your emotions and not trusted yourself for too many years.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Kingdom Mothers Rise Up podcast. I'm blessed to have you here. If you'd like to continue the conversation, you can join us in the Kingdom Mothers Rise Up Facebook community. When you're ready for more support, I have the Heart Doodling with Jesus monthly membership, periodic group coaching, and one-on-one personalized coaching as well. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you next time.